What if you knew with absolute certainty that your son was destined for a life of unparalleled glory, but also for an early, violent grave? You are Thetis, a goddess of the sea, and this is the terrible choice laid before you. You can't bear the thought of the fates snipping his life thread short. So, under a moonless sky, you take your infant son, Achilles, to the one place you believe can defy destiny. The river Styx, the boundary between the living and the dead. You grip his tiny heel, the only part of him your hand touches, and plunge him into the churning black water. The river's magic flows over him, a divine armor plating his skin, making it impervious to any blade. But where your fingers are clenched, the water cannot reach. You've just created the greatest warrior the world will ever know. But in your desperate act of love, you have also forged his single, fatal flaw. This is a classic, foundational moment in his myth, but here is the chilling detail often forgotten. The Styx wasn't just a river of immortality. Its waters were said to be so corrosive they could dissolve any mortal vessel. Your act wasn't just a baptism. It was a life-or-death gamble with a divine acid bath. Asterisk, asterisk. Scholars still debate whether asterisk, asterisk, the story of his invulnerability was a later addition to the myth to heighten his tragedy, or if it was part of the original tradition from the very beginning. As you pull him from the current, his skin glowing with power, you can only pray it was enough. Do you think you would have made the same choice? That fatal flaw created in the black waters of the Styx now haunts your every waking moment as a mother. The prophecy of a glorious death at Troy still hangs in the air, a storm cloud on the horizon. So, you do the only thing a desperate parent can. You hide him. You take Achilles, now a young man forged for war, to the remote island of There, you convince him to live among the daughters of King Lycomedes, hidden in plain sight. You dress him in silks, teach him to weave, and give him a new name, Pyrrha, the fiery-haired girl. You are surrounded by the scent of salt and olive groves, the rustle of fine linen replacing the clash of steel you so desperately fear. He is safe, you tell yourself, but destiny has a long reach. Here's the Easter egg detail many versions of the story leave out. Achilles doesn't just hide. He falls in love with one of the princesses, Deidamia, and she becomes the secret mother of his son, Neoptolemus' son, who will one day become a warrior as brutal as his father. Achilles, the future killer of men, is living as a woman and becoming a father, all while the world searches for him. Asterisk, asterisk. Scholars still debate whether asterisk, asterisk, his time on Skyros was meant to symbolize a necessary period of feminine, passive energy he had to experience before he could fully embrace his masculine, warrior destiny. For now, you are simply Pyrrha, a girl with a dangerous secret. Drop a comment if you think you could pull off a disguise like that. You can't hide from the Trojan War forever. Remember that prophecy from part 1. It didn't just foretell your death. Another prophecy stated that the Greeks could not win the war without you, and a man named Odysseus, as cunning as he is ruthless, has been sent to find you. He arrives at the court of Skyros disguised as a merchant, his cart laden with treasures for the king's daughters, exquisite jewelry, shimmering silks, and fine perfumes. You and the other princesses gather around, delighted, but among the soft fabrics and glittering gems, Odysseus has placed something else: a sword, a shield, and a spear. As you all admire the trinkets, he gives a secret signal, and one of his men blows a piercing blast on a war horn mimicking the sound of an attack. The princesses scream and scatter, but your instincts betray you. Forgetting your disguise, you rip past the silks and jewels and your hands find the cold, familiar weight of the sword hilt. The game is up, Odysseus smirks. He has found his warrior. That's the classic story, but here's a lesser-known variation. Some tales claim Odysseus simply laid the weapons out, and while the other girls were drawn to the jewelry, you alone were captivated by the craftsmanship of the spear. Scholars still debate whether you were truly fooled by the ruse or if, deep down, you were relieved, eager for an excuse to finally abandon the charade and become the person you were born to be. The ship to Troy is waiting. Your legend is about to be written in blood. You arrive at Troy, and for 9 long years, you are a whirlwind of death. You are the best of the Achaeans, an unstoppable force. But the greatest threat to the Greek army isn't the Trojans. It's the ego of your commander, Agamemnon. After a successful raid, you are awarded a beautiful captive woman, Briseis, as a prize of honor. But when Agamemnon is forced by the gods to give up his own prize, Chryses arrogantly decides to take yours instead to reassert his authority. You stand before the assembly, your hand on your sword, every fiber of your being screaming to cut him down where he stands. The goddess Athena has to physically appear and restrain you. The insult is unbearable. This isn't about a woman. It's about your honor, your timcid, the public recognition of your worth. You declare that you will no longer fight for him. You retreat to your tent, taking your fearsome Myrmidon soldiers with you. Many know this part, but the Easter egg here is the depth of your relationship with brother. The Iliad suggests a genuine affection, that you saw her as more than a prize, even promising to make her your wife back home. This makes Agamemnon's act not just an insult to your honor, but a deeply personal violation. Scholars still debate whether your legendary rage was truly about wounded pride and honor, or if it was fueled by a more complex mix of affection for Briseis and a profound disdain for Agamemnon's inept leadership. Without you, the tide of war turns, and the Greeks begin to die. You sit in your tent, listening to the screams of your countrymen, and you do nothing. Your rage, which we saw ignite in the last part, has hardened into a stubborn, deadly pride. The Greeks are being slaughtered, pushed back to their ships. But then, the one person in the world who can reach you enters your tent. It's Patroclus, your dearest friend, your companion, your other half. His face is streaked with tears and dirt, and he begs you. If you will not fight, he pleads, then let me wear your armor. The Trojans will think it is you, and they will flee in terror. It will give our men a chance to breathe. You look at him, your loyal Patroclus, and your resolve wavers. You agree, but with a strict warning. Drive the Trojans from the ships, but go no further. Do not pursue them to the walls of Troy. Once you have saved the fleet, return at once. You help him buckle on your divine armor. It's an iconic moment of tragic foreshadowing. Here's a detail that adds to the poignancy. In many interpretations, Patroclus was the older and more level-headed of the two of you, your steadying influence. His desperation here shows just how dire the situation has become. It's not the act of a reckless youth, but of a man willing to do anything to save his people. Scholars still debate the precise nature of your relationship with Patroclus. Was it the profound bond of warrior brothers, or a deep romantic love? Either way, as you watch him lead your Myrmidons into battle, you have just sealed his fate, and your own. You watch from your camp as Patroclus, wearing your armor, becomes a storm. The Trojans, seeing the terrifying crest of your helmet, break and run. He is magnificent. He honors your command at first, successfully driving the enemy from the Greek ships, but then, flush with victory and the godlike power of your armor, he forgets your warning. He pursues them. He chases them all the way to the mighty walls of Troy itself. This is where divinity intervenes. The god Apollo, protector of Troy, sees this desecration and strikes Patroclus from behind, stunning him and knocking his helmet off. A Trojan soldier then wounds him with a spear. Dazed and disarmed, he is helpless. And then he comes face to face with the greatest of the Trojan princes. Hector, believing he is about to kill the legendary Achilles, drives his spear through your friend's body. Patroclus falls. In his dying breaths, he tells Hector the truth. It was not you who killed me. It was the gods, and your own fate. But Achilles will avenge me. Hector strips your divine armor from Patroclus's corpse as a trophy. The Easter egg here is Apollo's direct involvement. Patroclus wasn't just outfought, he was sabotaged by a god. Scholars still debate whether Hector knew he was fighting a dazed and wounded Patroclus, or if, in the chaos of battle, he genuinely believed he had defeated the invincible Achilles in a fair fight. The news reaches you like a physical blow. The world goes silent. The news of Patroclus's death doesn't just break you, it shatters you. The rage you felt for Agamemnon was a smoldering fire. This is an inferno. You let out a cry so terrible that your mother, Thetis, hears it from the depths of the sea. You pour dirt and ash over your head, tearing at your hair, a primal display of grief that terrifies everyone who sees it. Your pride is gone, your honor is gone. All that is left is a hollow, howling void that can only be filled with one thing: revenge. Your mother comes to you, and seeing that Hector now possesses your old armor, she promises you a new set. She goes to Hephaestus, the smith god himself, who forges you a new suit of armor, more glorious than any mortal has ever seen. The shield is the centerpiece, a masterpiece of divine art. This is a famous scene, but the literary detail, the Easter egg, is that the description of this shield is one of history's first and most famous examples of ekphrasis, a vivid, dramatic literary description of a work of visual art. On it, Hephaestus crafts the entire world, cities at peace and at war, fields being harvested, constellations in the sky. It represents the world of life that you are about to leave behind for a world of death. ***. Scholars still debate whether your subsequent rampage was fueled purely by grief for your friend, or if it was also a manifestation of grief for your own lost humanity, embracing the monster you were always destined to become. You strap on the god-forged armor. You are no longer a man, you are a reckoning. Clad in the gleaming god-forged armor we saw Hephaestus create, you become an instrument of fate. You reconcile with Agamemnon not out of forgiveness, but because you no longer care about mortal squabbles. There is only Hector. You charge onto the battlefield and the Trojans scatter before you like leaves in a storm. You hunt for one man only. Finally you see him. Hector, the killer of Patroclus, stands alone outside the Sion gate. For a moment, his nerve breaks and he runs. You chase him 3 times around the massive walls of Troy, a spectacle of terror for all to see. But this chase is not just between 2 mortals. The goddess Athena, your patron, descends and tricks Hector. She appears to him in the guise of his brother Deiphobus, promising to fight by his side. Bolstered by this lie, Hector stops and turns to face you. The duel is short and brutal. You know the weakness in your old armor, the armor Hector now wears. You see a small gap near the collarbone, and you drive your spear into his throat. He falls, and with his last breath, begs you to return his body to his parents for a proper burial. You look down at the man who killed your world and reply, "I wish my rage would let me cut your flesh away and eat it raw." Scholars still debate whether your victory was a testament to your superior skill as a warrior, or if it was entirely dependent on the divine intervention and trickery of Athena. The duel was never a fair fight. Hector is dead, but your rage, the rage born from Patroclus' fall, is not satisfied. You do the unthinkable. You tie Hector's body to the back of your chariot by his ankles, and drag him in the dust, circling the walls of Troy so his family, his father, the king, his mother, the queen, his wife, forced to watch the desecration. For 12 days, you abuse his corpse, trying to quench the fire inside you. But the gods, watching from Olympus, are displeased. They have preserved Hector's body from decay, and they decide this must end. Under the cover of darkness, they send the god Hermes to guide a lone, elderly man into the heart of the Greek camp. Priam, king of Troy, Hector's father. He enters your tent, kneels, and does something no one has ever done. He kisses your hands, the hands of the man who killed my son. He begs you to think of your own father, to imagine his grief, and to show mercy. And in that moment, something inside you breaks. You see not an enemy king, but a grieving father, just like your own. You weep with him for Patroclus, for Hector, for all the sons who will never go home. You agree to return the body. Scholars still debate whether this moment represents you truly regaining your humanity, or if it is merely a temporary cathartic lull in your otherwise unquenchable rage. You have shown mercy, but your own fate, prophesied in Part 1, is now closer than ever. After the truce for Hector's funeral, the war rages on. You are, its burning heart, an unstoppable force cutting down Trojan allies one by one. You know the prophecy we started with, that your life will be glorious but short, is about to be fulfilled. You are fighting near the Sion gate, the very place where you killed Hector. The battle is a chaotic swirl of dust and bronze, and then an arrow flies from the bow of Paris, the cowardly prince who started this whole war by stealing Helen. This is not a lucky shot, it is a guided missile. The god Apollo, who has hated you ever since you killed his son Teens and who helped kill Patroclus, directs the arrow's flight. It soars across the battlefield unerring and strikes you in the one place the waters of the Styx never touched. Your heel, you, the warrior no blade could pierce, fall because of a poisoned arrow shot by a man who was never your equal. The pain is shocking, but the realization is worse. Destiny has won. Your mother's desperate gamble has failed. The Easter egg here is the definitive role of the god. Paris was just the weapon, Apollo was the assassin. Scholars still debate whether Paris or Apollo should receive the credit for your death, questioning how much mortal agency is truly at play in a world governed by petty, interfering gods. Your fall is so mighty that it takes a great struggle for the Greeks to even recover your body. The greatest warrior is dead. The Trojan War is, for all intents and purposes, over. The roar of battle fades. The screams fall silent. All that remains is the echo of a name, Achilles. His story is not just one of rage or war, but of a choice. A long, quiet, unremarkable life, or a short, brilliant one that would echo through eternity. He chose glory, and with it, he accepted the grief. The story reminds us that even the strongest among us have a point of vulnerability, and that love a mother's for her son. A man s for his friend can be the catalyst for both our greatest triumphs and our most profound tragedies. The dust settles over the plains of Troy, and a legend is etched into stone forever.